Hello, T-Birds, and welcome to this fourth installment of the video series I am calling the 5-Minute PD. Did you know that the Islands of Tonga should be referred to as the Kingdom of Tonga? Well, stay tuned. There's a lot more information coming up in the 5-Minute PD. The Kingdom of Tonga's population is spread across 36 of its 169 islands, but about 70% people live on the main island. The capital, Nuku'alofa, sits on the island's north coast along the Whangauta Lagoon. This lagoon's mangroves provides an important breeding ground for fish and birds. Built on limestone, the island has fertile soil of volcanic ash from the neighboring volcanoes that surround it, so we can see how agriculture would be productive here. Crops that grow there are things such as sweet potato and cassava, as well as coconuts, bananas, and coffee beans. For centuries, Tonga was politically and culturally influential throughout Polynesia. Its people were particularly known for their warrior abilities and navigational skills. As you can see from this map here, these are the islands under Tonga's influence historically. The Tongan Empire had collapsed by the time the first Europeans arrived and made contact in the late 1700s. Although Tonga was influenced by European contact, especially Christian missionary activity, the country remained under its own sovereignty. In 1970, Tonga was granted full independence from voluntary protectorate status under Britain. Many Tongans place a high value on their families, paying respect to those of seniority and maintaining oral traditions of storytelling. The concept of anga whakatanga, or the Tongan way or Tongan custom, is an important part of the Tongan identity and encompasses all Tongan values, practices, and beliefs and behaviors. There are some elements that are typically identified as deeply important to this way. One important element is the Tongan social structure, which is highly stratified and status conscious. Generally speaking, those of lower status are expected to demonstrate respect and unwavering obedience towards those of higher status. Talking back to those of higher status or age is generally not acceptable. Gender differences and family structure are also important elements where men and women are expected to fill designated roles and behaviors. Remember the Tawaluga dance from the Samoan culture? Well, there is also a version of it here in the Tongan culture. And if you use your phone to open up this QR code, you can see a wonderful video on the Tongan version of the Tawaluga and how it differs in its status and who dances it and the lack of weapons used. Tonga's history is full of maritime voyages and intermarriages between island chiefdoms. This brought many external influences into Tongan society, as well as exporting many local customs into other island communities. Tattooing was an art that was heavily influenced by these maritime exchanges, most notably with Samoan tattooing. Tupou VI, King of Tonga, has reigned since 2012 and comes from a long line of monarchs. He was educated in Tonga and the United Kingdom, and in the later 1970s, he received a master's degree in defense studies and as well as joined the military and served his country. His reign has been relatively calm. However, an eruption of the Hunga Tonga Hunga Ha'apai submarine volcano in January of 2022 caused a tsunami to hit Tonga and neighboring countries. There was widespread damage, and Tonga reported 3 deaths and 14 injuries. As a result of the tsunami, the king had to be evacuated from the royal palace, but he was able to return 2 days later. As you can see here, the widespread damage due to the deposit of ash on the islands also resulted in the cutting off of all communication to the outside world due to the damage of a sub-oceanic fiber optic cable that took some time to repair. If you would like more information on the Kingdom of Tonga, use your phone to open up this QR code that will bring you to a Google Doc with all of the references listed that were used in this presentation. Next up, the islands of the Philippines.